Namaskar. Welcome to the new episode of Vande Mataram, the story of India's brave hearts. Bir Tikendrajit Singh was a great patriot and a prince from Manipur who laid down his life during India's struggle for independence. Tikendrajit Singh was born on December 29, 1856. Koreng, as he was popularly known as, loved freedom since his childhood. After the Maharaja's death on May 20th, 1886, the eldest son of the royal family, Surchandra Singh, ascended the throne of Manipur. The princes were appointed as their heir apparent, army general and police chief. Later on, Tikendrajit became Senapati, the general of Manipur army. Tension began to develop gradually as some misunderstandings crept up among the princes, and finally the royal family split up into two factions, one led by Tikendrajit himself and the other by Pakasana. The king remained unaware about the situation, and chaos increased to great extent. According to Tikendrajit, the king was in favor of Pakistan. On September 22nd, 1890, Tikendrajit, along with two other princes, Angao San and Jilangamma, revolted against Suruchandra Singh and overthrew him. The monarch fled from the palace and took refuge in the residence of the British. Then Kulachandra ascended the throne and Tikendrajit became Jubaraj, the heir apparent. This incident is known as Palace Revolt in Manipur history. Later, the former ruler, Surachendra Singh, left for Calcutta, but informed Tikendrajit that he was on his way to Vrindavan. After reaching Calcutta, he sent a petition to the government for restoring his throne in Manipur. The matter was taken into consideration, and British Viceroy of India, Lord Lansdowne, then took a decision to retain Kulachandra as the king but removed Tikendrajit from Manipur. On March 22nd, 1891, the Chief Commissioner J.W. Quinton reached Manipur with a troop of soldiers. A secret plan was arranged to arrest Tikendrajit, but the secret got leaked and the plan failed. Grimwood, the political agent, then asked the king to hand over Tikendrajit to him. The king Kulachandra refused, and so the British used force to arrest Tikendrajit. 2 days later, in evening of March 24, the British troops attacked the residence of Tikendrajit in palace compound and killed many civilians, women, and children who were gathered for a program. The Manipuri soldiers fought back and succeeded in their offensive struggle. Five British officers, Quinton and Grimwood among them, had fled to seek shelter. On March 31st, the Anglo-Manipur War took place as the British government announced war on Manipur. Three columns of the army, namely Kohima, commanded by Major General H. Collett, Silchar, commanded by Colonel R. H. F. Rennick, and Tamil, commanded by Brigadier General T. Graham, was sent to Manipur, while the Manipuri army was led by Tikendrajit himself. On April 27, the Kangla Palace was taken over by the British, and Major Maxwell became the chief political agent. Later, Churachandra Singh, a minor, was given the throne as Manipur turned into a princely state. while Tikendrajit, along with some of the other leaders, went underground. The British Indian government constituted a special court formed under Lieutenant Colonel John Mitchell for the trials, and the court commenced on May 11. Tikendrajit, Kulachandra, and Thangal General were found guilty and were sentenced to death. Kulachandra, however, made an appeal to the government, and his sentence was thus converted into transportation of life and sent to the Andaman Islands, where he died a prisoner in 1934. On August 13, 1891, the order was announced, and at 5 p.m. in the evening, both the Tikendrajit and Thangal General were hanged before the general public at Polo Ground in Imphal. This place was later named as Bir Tikendrajit Park, and to remember this heroic deeds, Manipur celebrates the day as Patriots' Day. Bir Tikendrajit was a huge nationalist, and he will always be remembered for his courage and patriotism. Thank you. Namaskar.